Hi everyone. So we are doing a video or informational video for this week's module, and it's about positive behavior and discipline programs in early childhood education. We're trying to put together a nice little informational um, slide so that we can explain what our idea about creating this environment and developing this program for early childhood education. So as you can see, we have basically our learning um, basically background or our outcome or our list of what we want to discuss is what is a positive behavior um, and discipline program for preschools, um, daycare centers, things like that. This is what this program is going to be implemented in, and why it is critical that this is done in the early years of education. Why we shouldn't use punishing, or why should pushing not be used in discipline when you're teaching and you're developing your program and how to implement a specific discipline um, strategy for your young ones when you're dealing with multiple children in a early childhood setting. Defining unacceptable behaviors, also the difference between positive approaches to discipline in the classroom. So basically, what we want to do is kind of create a roadmap. And how to create that roadmap is to have a positive behavior and discipline um, outlook for the children. I feel like as professionals, if we have our own kind of plan and we hold ourselves to that same discipline, then it's easier to teach the children and be an example for the children with that positive behavior and discipline program that you're going to develop. Um, a lot of the objectives also include inform, basically creating or developing a plan that motivates um, with discipline. So it's like hand in hand. Um, the positive tools that target the individual to improve dealing with issues that's relevant to the children. So you got to pretty much get to know the children that you're teaching. Um, each individual children is going to be different. Of course, it's going to be a challenge to try to get to know each child because you have 30 children, 30 plus children. You're trying to get their personalities together. You're trying to develop or a plan on how to get them from point A to point B with the information that you have to teach them. But in doing that, we still have to focus on discipline and different behaviors because let's just face it, that's part of our daily activity because we have the children pretty much most of the day. Questions that you should answer when a child is doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and how to approach them and kind of teach them in a appropriate way, and to get them to understand, what they need to change. Okay. So the next slide is basically giving you an outline or a guideline of what a positive behavior is in the program, creating in the program, and the aim for that particular plan. So these are basically the bullet points of what we're going to be discussing, which is the behavior and the discipline, are two aspects developed from childhood. We know this because in that developmental stage, going through like early childhood, preschool, um, daycare type thing, kids learn as they go. And so, if you, as a caregiver or a professional um, uh, educator, develop a plan to implement discipline and self-aware behavior that's best for each child, it's easier to guide them if you get used to using certain methods that are taught. Molding them becomes an essential part of child development as a long-term goal. Um, it also helps to create a great connection, a wonderful connection with those around them, including family members and early guardians of the child, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts and uncles, things like that. Help your kids to discover their what they're capable of in their own sense. You want them to kind of be proud and kind of have that self confidence in going forward and developing. One of the most important things, a part of the program, is creating a positive discipline model or effect. So positive discipline models aim at creating mutual respect, connecting the targets with the kids. So basically, in connecting with your children and having the children connect with their peers um, in a safe and a nurturing environment. Um, so when you're talking about mutual respect, basically it's maintaining and creating respectful behaviors, um, having the children get used to a routine, um, as they children, we as we know, copy or mimic or imitate adults that they see. So if our behavior is showing them something positive, then that's what they implement. Say you have a disruptive child that maybe not have the best environment, that they're living at home. One of the things that you can do is make those particular children your helpers, showing them how to redirect if they get frustrated, if they don't understand and they lash out, then showing them different ways to use that energy in a positive way. Teaching the children, respecting the child will boost their ability to do the same. So basically, knowing that and being self-assured that what you're doing is helping that child. We want to keep a track of that. A lot of that has to do with assessing, using the tools that they taught, far as assessing children and learning how to help them with the things that they need help with. Benefits: identify, understand what makes a child behave in the certain way that they do, which I said earlier. And that again comes with assessing the children, doing activities that bring each child out, and spending a little one-on-one time with each individual student, but also as a group, having icebreaker activities that will show um, um, good disciplined behavior. So this slide is basically talking about the common actions helping in solving issues. As you can easily learn, the children problems. So you may have behavioral problems such as strong tempers, strong will children who are shy or bashful, or behind, and so they act out because they don't know how to express that, or they don't know how to do the work that's been given. And so these are different problems that you address with this particular model. Solution oriented, it's good to create more a focus on building solutions rather than punishing. So the reward system is really good. However, you want to pick and choose your reward system. So you want them to understand that yes, you're going to get a reward for behavior, but you should always behave this way anyway, even without the reward. The reward is the icing on the cake. And if you can kind of figure out a way to implement that and show that, then the children will get more out of that particular program. Create encouragement, focus on creating an effort that improves rather than um, concentrate on praise, which makes a child relax and become dormant. How to improve a child's self-esteem. These are all creating positive discipline roles and models. How to create a positive discipline. Don't scare the child. Um, Scare the bad behavior. This is a positive discipline where you can come up with a plan to change the child's action to become better. Otherwise, you may end up feeling guilty and unable to control them in the future. So basically what we're looking at here is if you have a scenario where a child is this, we all have them two or three in the classroom where they're under the table or they're not listening. They have a little bit of attention deficit disorder, or say you have to deal with that. What you can do is if you are speaking to the class and you're trying to relay information, do it in a way where they're interactive and pull those particular children in. Don't embarrass them, but make them a part of that talk, make them a part of that activity that you're doing. Do it and show and to keep them engaged. If you can keep them engaged, you can pretty much kind of curb the going out or talking to other kids or turning around in their desks or playing their hands. It's can be difficult to do, but it's not impossible. Um, Also, again, with the reward system, basically, I use like stars on charts, or give them a long-term type, not in a short time frame, but a long-term goal. So maybe you use charts with smiley faces, and if Adam is doing really well and he's participating, he's listening, and he's not doing the things that he usually do, which is disruptive or things like that, then he's going to get a star. And they get so many stars or they get so many happy faces, then they get a reward at the end of the week. Those are things that you can do to implement and create good behavior. Don't concentrate on the wrong, focus on settings the right things. If you don't show the right things, a child will shift from one bad behavior to another. However, if you show them the right thing, then they are likely to change from one right reaction to another, and this will become a new trend. So basically, what we're saying here is instead of saying no, don't do that, how about explaining how they can do something versus saying no that they can't? And if you explain how they can do it and then allow them to do that, come up to you and maybe show the class what you mean, or implement as you're speaking or as you're talking to the class, go and maybe kind of show that child, things, and as you're making them a part of that discussion, and maybe redirect in that way. Just different strategies, learning different strategies on redirecting versus saying no, or being stern or yelling or stopping what you're doing and calling that child out. You want to kind of keep the flow of what you're doing, keep the flow of the activity that you're doing, and correct the behavior as you go. How to create positive discipline. Again, show a kindness to the children with empathy. In this case, offer support with advice included. Um, as I said, like I said, just don't stop what you're doing, but maybe walk over to that child and include them in what you're doing or redirect that way. Um, Encourage it, but oh, Johnny, why did you think that was do it, what is another way that we could have shown our, how we're feeling at this point in, with what we're doing? Do you think that's a good way to, for us to help our activity? Is that something that all of us can do? you know Things like that to redirect the behavior that you don't want them to have into a behavior that you do want them to have. Approach KD with calmness. Don't raise your voice towards kids. Utilize mistakes as opportunities. Like I said, redirection. Show this sense of humanity by making the reflection that shows past mistakes and how they lead to painful situations. So if you could explain some things, give examples, and um, on their level where they understand, because kids, even the young kids, they pretty much get, if you give them an example of things and you put them into the talk, then they will understand and they will get what you're trying to say. So basically, pushing is not always a positive thing to do. You want to encourage going forward without pushing a child beyond what they're capable of. You want to try to get them to ease into the appropriate behavior, ease into changing their behaviors with different things. So, making them helpers, including them in a talk, giving them positive reinforcement, um, making sure that you acknowledge when they are behaving, things like that, to help them grow gradually, not to push them into because pushing is not always a adequate in trying to get a child to behave and change their behavior. So this slide basically children behavior modified mode behavior of your children, um, character development, develop intellectual, psychological, and mental possibility. Um, Different positive approaches can be a role model, teach the child to be social, use timeout, apply consistency, and have a positive attitude yourself. So, being a role model, imitate features um, is a key strategy to make a child adopt a disciplined behavior. So, if you show per se, we can, as you know, we're all people, and we may have an off day or bad day sometimes, but showing kindness and smiling and talking soft and, you know giving appreciation, showing, being an actual model for that child's behavior can help go a long ways in helping change the child's behavior. The child will copy what an adult does, molding their discipline. For instance, virtues uh, such as kindness virtues such as kindness, respect, will be copied. If you are not cruel or rude, a child will also not be cruel or rude to others. Okay, this is another approach, applying the consistency involving using the same positive approaches that mold the child. Continue the same way, consistent day by day. Avoid lapsing where you may seem to quit the routine. All of these have a great impact on children. Using timeout. Some people use timeout. Timeout is a go-to type thing. I don't really use timeout very often. I want to try to keep the children engaged. Um, so I tend to use different things like implementing different helpers and different positions in the class or in the group to keep the child engaged, more so than putting them on timeout. I will take away um, break time or play time and have them do something else, but also not making it a punishment, but also just kind of adding time with doing something that's good to show them what they can do instead of so basically redirection. We teach children to be sociable just by teaching them. They're in the classroom, they're with their peers, they're with their mom and dad. These are all social interactions. You want to keep it positive and you want to keep it upbeat. Um, the list of going over daily list of expectations with the kids in the class. So keeping our hands to ourselves, not taking what's not ours, asking if we have a question or raising our hand and waiting our turn, asking if we need something, asking politely and how to ask, respecting other people things, all ways of teaching children social behavior. Okay, so this is my slide. Hopefully I hit all of the key points in the assignment this week, and hopefully I've done what I was supposed to do. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Latrina Jones. I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.